Hey there everyone, I'm coming to you today with what I feel is a very, very important message and thing for us to be speaking about, because I myself am experiencing some very, very intense and very, very physical symptoms at the moment, and I know that a lot of people are going through very similar things. Now, for me, I have a lot of tools under my belt, and I've been at this a very long time. When I say at this, what is this? This process of ascension, I guess you would say, or awakening, or been on this path for a long time. And I'm not only talking about our spiritual path and our path as conscious and awake human beings, because that is what it is, but I'm talking about a lot of the very, very visceral and physical sensations that are arising for us as we have, or we find ourselves in these very, very accelerated times of the awakening process. You know, it used to be that we would have these intense moments and then we would almost have a bit of a reprieve in between. It was kind of like the energies were strong around the full moons, around the new moons, around the eclipses, and then we would kind of have these spaces in between where we would be able to rest and integrate the energies that were coming in. But these days, it's just not happening that way. It's coming in very thick, very fast, very consistently. And, you know, like you've heard me say many times before, this is measurable. Well, it's measurable by the science that we have right now in this moment. But as I was saying in yesterday's post, a lot of this science was developed back in the 80s and the 90s, so it's not even yet being able to keep up with even being able to measure scientifically the amount and the frequency and the speed of the photonic energy and the cosmic energies that are arriving to the planet. So much so as that a lot of the instruments end up having, blackouts for periods of time where they literally can't even be able to measure the frequencies. P.S. I'm sitting here, you might say I'm sitting in my bathers here. This is a very rare moment for me, but this is me practicing what I preach and stopping what I was doing to create more slowness and stillness in my day, because that's really the remedy. Now, as these waves of light from our sun, they're coming as solar flares. They're measured as either X-class or M-class flares that are measured on a Richter scale, similar to what you would measure an earthquake. But there is also light coming from the center of the cosmos. So not only from the sun of our solar system, but it's coming from other galaxies, and it's coming through our solar system, and it's reaching here on the Earth. Now, why is this happening? For me, it's happening because we are being a bit slow about the process. You know, I believe that there is very much a plan from Mother Earth. I believe that our planet has guardians, just like we would have a council of leaders, you know, for our local areas or for our countries, for our communities. I think that I really believe that there is what you could call a galactic council that are overseeing and watching the progression and the ascension of our Earth. Now, whether you believe that or not doesn't matter. The fact remains that purely on a physical level, this photonic light is yes or yes hitting the planet. Now, when we have things like eclipses and equinoxes, because of the way that the cosmic alignments happen on those days, it makes it much more effortless or easier for these energies to reach our planet, therefore to reach us. So it means that it intensifies it. Now, the ancient people knew this. This is why their major ceremonies were all planned around these events because they knew that on those days that the veils were thinner, that they could communicate more easily with our divine origins, that they could receive information, and that they could make use of the kind of like the magnifying glass that was at work on those days, that was intensifying those energies, right? So here we are at a prophesized point in our history. Like if you think about it, even take your mind back just 5 years, pre-pandemic, go back 10, 20, 30 years. Like if you track it and really stop and have a look back and have a look at the conversations that are being had now, have a look at what we're talking about on social media now, have a look at what is becoming more and more mainstream, even just down to things that we're now just taking for granted as being normal, like the quality of the food that we put in our mouth, the environmental concerns. All of those things are totally mainstream now, but not so long ago they were only really for tree-hugging hippies, you could say, as my dad probably would have said, So, whether it feels like we're not moving forward quickly as humanity or not, the fact is that we are, and we're doing it fast. And these cosmic energies that are coming in now, that are being intensified during these periods, is giving us even more volition to catapult us towards where we are planned for, where we are headed for, which is to be living in that divine matrix, which means in that heaven on earth. This is meant to be a paradise planet. It is a paradise planet, yet so many of us feel like we're living in a prison. I don't, but a lot of people do. And this is because we have been kind of hoodwinked and kept under the control of certain conditions, programs, structures, beliefs that aren't true of who we really are. We've had to go all the way backwards as humans do. We swing the pendulum, right? We have to go all the way one way. Sometimes we go all the way the other way, and then we find this kind of central point in the middle. So I guess you could say that the pendulum is really swinging the other way now, because sometimes we have to go to that intensity and that extreme to then find our equilibrium. And the speed of the frequency and the energy that's coming in can really create symptoms in the physical body that can have you feel like you are losing your mind, like you might be having a heart attack. It can be so strong that you might even feel like you need to take yourself to the emergency room. And I'm not kidding. This is not a joke. This is not just a mild sensation or a bit of brain fog. This is full on physical. It could be very severe numbness, very severe tingling sensations that arise through your extremities. You could notice that your heart rate is increasing, or the opposite, bradycardia, that it's really slowing down. Sometimes you might even find that you've forgotten how to breathe, and that's terrifying. When you feel the heart rate like either racing up or slowing down, and you think you're having a heart attack, and it's not an anxiety thing. It's not a thing where you're thinking thoughts and you're creating an anxious response. This is something, those of you that are experiencing it will know exactly what I mean. You'll be looking at all the things that you're doing in your life to figure out. You'll be thinking, is it the coffee? Is it the this? Is it the that? And for sure there are certain things that, if you're noticing, are exacerbating those symptoms, and it might be helpful just to back off those things because there's already a lot going on. So you want to try and slow things down as much as you possibly can. You could be finding that you either have no appetite whatsoever. It's like you just want to breathe air and you're forgetting to eat. Or you could be the opposite, where you can't get enough in because you're trying so hard to ground. Your sleep, again, could be one of two ways. It could be knockout, and finding it really hard to wake up. Or it could be the other way, where you are so wired, you may not have even had any caffeine that day. Maybe you had one green tea in the morning or one small coffee in the morning, and yet you're still awake at midnight wondering, and your mind probably isn't even going. You're just like it's like you've been plugged into the cosmic mains. You might be finding that you're sleeping a lot less than you normally do. Some people will be having really crazy stuff going on in their dreams. Some people will be seeing colour and shapes that perhaps they haven't seen before, or energy around things. There is a gazillion. There's also the physical pain that can happen. So I find that what can happen with this tingling and this numbness and sensations is this, what's happening, if you can imagine, is that the energy is intelligent, right? So it is working its way through the body, and when it finds an area where there's a stagnant or a lack of consciousness that it needs to work on in the body, then it's sort of like, you can imagine like when water hits a rock, right, and it's trying to go through, it has to end up finding a way around, but the pressure is pushing to try and open that channel, to open that. So, and that can cause physical pain. You might find that you're having more headaches. You might find that there's a lot of tingling in the crown. You might find that your vision is going really blurry, that sometimes the brain fog is just off the charts, like you can't even, you're like, how do I can't even organise my day. I don't know point A to point B, and you might find yourself timeline jumping. Timeline jumping meaning that you look at your clock and 1 minute it's 10 o'clock, and then it feels like an hour's gone by, but it's only 2 minutes past 10, or the opposite, where, you know, time is moving very, very quick. So all of these things can be very disconcerting, and the reason that I'm putting this post here is because even the most seasoned of us that are really used to this stuff, it's freaky. And I tell you what, I've had moments where just out of nowhere I'll be sitting there, and please don't tell me it's perimenopause, because I've just had all of my hormones checked and my doctors were amazed that I haven't even entered perimenopause yet. So I know that that's the first thing that people want to say, oh, the anxiety is perimenopause. Who hears that? It's like you turn 30, after you've turned 35, everything's perimenopause. No, not necessarily. You know, of course, if you feel that there is something physical going on, you must go and get it checked out. Go and get it checked out anyway. But don't find yourself frustrated if all of your tests come back, if everything comes back and you're like, you're fine, and you're like, what the hell is going on in my body? So what do you do about it? Breathe. Your breath is the key. If you can make your out breath longer than your in breath, when you breathe out through pursed lips. So it's like a breath in, and then for double the amount of speed, humming is also a brilliant thing. Why? Because humming stimulates the vagus nerve, tones the vagus nerve, and will help to calm your system down. So making the out breath longer than the in breath. If you can just do that for a few minutes when you feel yourself wobbling, then this is great. Slowing the internal self down as much as you can while the speed around you is ramping up, because the speed is going to continue to ramp up. So it takes discipline, because if you're anything like me, then you know you can also thrive a little bit on this speed, and you can sort of be a bit like the Tasmanian devil and get yourself all whipped up in the cyclone of it, which is kind of fun. Whee! You know, but it's not, because it'll burn you out and put way too much stress on your central nervous system. So as I said, for me to stop and sit out here, I mean, why wouldn't you? Look at that. Yet you know what I do? I'm in there and I'm working away and I'm creating, I'm doing it, and all the things, and I'm busy all the time. And you have to discipline yourself to stop, step away, breathe for 5 minutes, take a moment of rest, and just notice if there are things in your diet or in your regimen that are speeding you up too much. Maybe just for now, even if it's not for good, just back it off a little bit, halve it, if not take it out of your diet completely. And the biggest thing I would say is just please try not to panic. When these sensations are coming up, remind yourself of what I'm sharing with you here, and remind yourself that there are many people going through this. I know people, as I say, that have been at this for years, that literally have taken themselves to the emergency because they think that something really big is going on. So it is really normal. It is like being struck by cosmic lightning, right? So imagine how that would feel in the body. It would probably kill you, your physical body, if you really got struck by lightning, but the photonic light has that power. So it is, our human spacesuit is really trying to, and not trying it, is doing it to up level itself so that it can hold this new frequency, right? But it takes time. So stillness, rest, even if you've got a lot going on, see if you can move more slowly, speak more slowly, try and bring in very grounding practices. Make sure you're eating grounding food, even though you might not feel it and you might not have an appetite. You feel like you can exist on light and air, which is kind of where I'm at. I have to really force myself. So I'm sending you a lot of love. Please drop your comments below and how you're dealing with these energies and what's going on for you, because it helps. All right, I love you very much. I hope this was helpful.